Yeah guys, welcome back to another video on simultaneous equation. In this video we are going to be solving another question on simultaneous equation, and the question we are going to be solving is this question. 2x plus 3y is equals to 4, 3x minus 2y is equals to negative 7. We are going to solve this question using both substitution method and elimination method. In order to solve this question using substitution method, the first thing we need to do is what? We need to make one of the dependent variable the subject of formula in either equation 1 or equation 2. So whatever we do, we are going to use equation 1 here in this case, but you can also use equation 2 and you get the exact same thing if you follow the same process. So for here we are going to make s, which is one of the dependent variable the subject of formula. You can make y as well, which is one of the dependent variable the subject of formula if you also follow this process. But here we are going to make use of s. So we have what? 2s plus 3y is equals to 4. In order to make s the subject of formula, we need to eliminate this guy from this side and bring this guy to this side. And then we need to eliminate the coefficient of s if there is any. So in order to eliminate 3y, what are we going to do? This is positive 3y. We need to add what? Negative 3y to both sides. And that will make this one to cancel out and become 0. After doing that, we are going to have what? 2s is equals to what? Negative 3y plus 4. As you can see the instruction here, add negative 3y to both sides. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to remove these 2. And since this 2 is combined to s by multiplication, the only way we can do that is to do what? Divide both sides by 2. So we divide both sides by 2. Divide both sides by 2, and then we have our value for x. This is the value for x. This is the first procedure in solving any simultaneous equation using substitution method. Note that we have what? Negative 3y plus 4 over 2. What we did here is just to divide this 4 divided by 2, and that's why we have what? Negative 3y over 2 plus 2. If we look for the LCM, we can still make this thing equals to this thing. If we just look for the LCM, this whole value here is still the same thing. They are equivalent. So now moving on, we are going to substitute this value into equation 2. Note that if you use equation 2, then you're going to substitute whatever value you get for either s or y into equation 1. But here we are using equation 1 first, so we're going to substitute the equation of s into equation 2 because this is the equation of s. This is a linear equation for s. So how do we go about that? All we need to do is what? We are going to substitute for s. Anywhere we see s in equation 2, we are going to replace it with what? This, since they are what? Equivalent. So that's what we are going to do here. We are going to have what? 3 into bracket negative 3y over 2 plus 2 close bracket minus 2y is equals to negative 7. Now, you see here, once we open this bracket, we are going to have what? Negative 9y divided by 2 plus 6 is equals to negative 7. Now, I want to show you how we arrive at negative 13y over 2. So let's come down here. So look at what I want to explain to you on this side. So now once we open this bracket, which is the same thing we have here, if you open this bracket, we're going to have what? Negative 9y divided by 2, because 3 times 3 will give you negative 9y over 2, and then 3 times 2 will give you 6 minus 2y. So once you combine negative 9y over 2 minus 2y, that will give you what? Negative 13y over 2. You see that? So in other words, what we just did is what? We just shortened the process here. What we did basically is what? We combine what? Negative 9y over 2 is the same thing as negative 4.5, and negative 4.5 minus 2y is going to give you what? Negative 6.5, and 13y, negative 13y divided by 2 is still going to give you what? Negative 6.5. So that's what I want to explain there. Let me bring it back down. So now after we've done that, now that you know the exact way we got what? this whole thing. The next thing we want to do is what? Make y the subset of formula, and the only way we can do that is by what? Subtracting 6 from both sides. Since we have positive of 6 here, we have to subtract 6 from both sides. And then that's what we are doing here. We are adding negative 6, which is simply as subtracting 6 from both sides. After we've done that, this one will cancel out. This negative 6 minus 6 is 0. So we are going to have what? Negative 7 minus 6 is going to give you what? Negative 13, as you can see here. Now, what we can do here is what? We can just simply cross multiply, and then we get what? Negative 26. But since we use the method of division here, we are going to use the method of division here. It does not matter which method you decide to use, it's still going to give you the same answer. So dividing both sides by what? Negative 13 over 2. We are going to have what? Negative 13 divided by negative 13 over 2. Now, what are we going to have? We are going to end up with y is equals to 2. This one, negative 13 divided by negative 13 over 2. All you can simply do is what? You are going to flip it. When I say flip it, we are going to say 13 times 2. That's the denominator. They are now going to divide by the what? The numerator. Whenever a whole number is divided by a fraction, all you just need to do is what? You use the whole number to multiply the what? The denominator, and then divide that whole number, and then divide the answer by the numerator. After getting your y, all you need to do next is to substitute your value for y into equation 1. Remember, we substitute this one into equation 2. This value for x here, we substitute into equation 2. Then we use that to solve here. After solving, what we just need to do is what? Substitute our value for y into equation 1 back, and then we get our value for x. So you can say substitute your value for y into equation 1 or into this equation, because it's the same thing. This one is the same thing as what? This one. If we just simplify this fraction, take the fraction out, we are going to get the same thing. So now substituting that value, what are we going to have? We are going to have what? Negative 3 times 2, which is what you can see here. We're only replacing the y with 2. That will give you what? Negative 6. Negative 6 divided by 2, that will give you what? Negative 3. Negative 3 plus 2, that will give you what? Negative 1. And that's how you solve using the substitution method. We are going to solve now this same question using elimination method, and you see elimination method is a lot faster. This is what I want you to understand. So let's proceed through elimination method. So using the elimination method, what you just need to do is what? Now we have what? 2x plus 3y is equals to 4, and 3x minus 2y is equals to negative 7. Now we're going to solve using elimination method. How do we go about this? Now the aim why it is called elimination method is because of you want to make the coefficient of any of the dependent variable equal, so you can then subtract those two equations so that those two equal coefficients, or that coefficient, that variable with equal coefficients, will cancel out. Let me repeat that again. Our goal is to make any of the dependent variable, the coefficient of any of the dependent variable. The coefficient is what is in front or combined to the dependent variable by multiplication. 2 is the coefficient of x in equation 1, 3 is the coefficient of y in equation 1, and so on. So what you want to do is make these two coefficients. We want to make the coefficient of y in equation 1 and 2 equal, so we can then subtract equation 1 from 2 or equation 2 from 1 in such a way that y will completely cancel out, and then we have only what? The value for x, and then we can solve from there. So what do we do? Now you see that we have 3 here and we have 2 here. We don't even need to start stressing ourselves on the type of number to use. All we just need to know, all we need to remember is that what? 2 multiplication is commutative. That means 3 times 2 will give you 6, and 2 times 3 will give you the same 6. So what we need to do is what? To multiply the whole of equation 2 by the coefficient of y, since we want to eliminate, if we want to eliminate y, we have to what? Multiply the whole of equation 2 by the coefficient of y in equation 1, and then multiply the whole of equation 1 by the coefficient of y in equation 2. This is what I'm talking about. Now we're going to multiply the whole of equation 1 by the coefficient of y in equation 2, which is negative 2. So by the time we do that, we're going to have what? Negative 2 times 2x, that will give you negative 4x. Negative 2 times 3y, that will give you what? Negative 6y. Negative 2 times 4y, that will give you what? Negative 8. So basically, we are multiplying the whole of equation 1 by negative 2 because negative 2 is the coefficient of y in equation 2. Now, moving to the second part, all we need to do is what? Multiply the whole of equation 2 by the coefficient of that same y in equation 1. So we are multiplying the whole of equation 1 by the coefficient of y in equation 2, and then we are multiplying the whole of equation 2 by the coefficient of y in equation 1. So we are going to multiply the whole of equation 2 by 3. So we are going to have what? 3 times 3, that will give you what? 9x. 3 times negative 2y, that will give you what? Negative 6y. And 3 times negative 7, that will give you what? Negative 21. Now, what can we do to negative 6y and negative 6y that will make them cancel out? The only thing we can do is to what? Subtract these two equations. Let's assume this place was positive and this place was negative. That means we have to add these two equations. But because the both of them are negative, we have to subtract these two equations. This is equation 3, this is equation 4. So we are going to have what? 3x minus 4x because we have what? 9x here. Oh, sorry, 9x. We have 9x here, so we are going to say 9x minus 4x. And then we are going to have what? Negative 6y minus 6y. And then we are going to have what? Negative 12 minus 8. So what are we going to do? What we are going to do next is what we are going to simplify. You know that minus times minus will give you plus. So we are going to have what? 9x plus 4y. Then we know that minus times minus will give you plus. So negative 6y plus 6y, that will give you 0. So it will cancel out. You see our goal? We've achieved our goal now, which is what? Is to eliminate y. And we've been able to eliminate y. You can also do the same thing for x and you'll be able to eliminate x. So negative 21 minus, you know, if minus we multiply minus, it's going to turn to plus. So we're going to have what? Negative 21 plus 8. Now, if we simplify this one, 9x plus 4x, that will give you what? 13x. And 8 minus 21, that will give you what? Negative 13. We divide both sides by x. We divide both sides by 13, and you get x is equals to negative 1. Now, substituting your answer for negative 1 into either equation 1 or equation 2, you will still get the same answer. But we are going to substitute it to equation 1 in this case. So we are going to have what? 2x plus 3y is equals to 4. Substituting negative 1, we are going to have 2 times negative 1. We are simply replacing what? X with negative 1 here. So we are going to have 2 times negative 1. That will give you negative 2 plus 3y is equals to 4. And then if you open this bracket, you are going to have what? Negative 2 plus 3y is equals to 4. Now, you collect like terms, that is, you add 2 to both sides. Since we have negative 2 here, we have to add 2 to both sides in order to take away this negative 2 from this side. And that's exactly what we are doing here. Negative 2 plus 3y is equals to what? Is equals to 4 plus 2. Now, once you simplify that, you are going to have what? 3y is equals to 6 because 4 plus 2 is what? 6. Divide both sides by 3 and then you have what? The same answer like we got previously. So that's basically how you go about solving simultaneous equation using elimination method.